Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Bearded Dev, and today we're going to be looking at in and not in. We're going to be covering using in and not in, and we're also going to be looking at some basic subqueries as well. So I've jumped over to SQL Server Management Studio. I'm just going to open up a new query against the bookshop database. And I'm just going to write a query in here, select all. Let's have a look at the orders table today. So this database is quite small. It's just based on a bookshop scenario. As we can see, I've written a query here to select all columns from DBO orders. In this table we have a OID, order ID, OC ID, that's our customer ID, because this links back to the customer table. We need to know which customers have placed these orders. We've got an order date and an order total. And what we're going to be looking at is how we can use in and not in. So we want to know the orders for certain customers. Now what we could do is write where OC ID equals 1, and that will return all our orders for customer ID 1. What we can also do is pass a list in here. So what we're going to be looking for is we're going to select all the columns from orders, and we want where our customer ID is in. We open brackets here, and what we can provide to the database engine is a list of customer IDs. So in this case I've only got a small amount of customers, so I'm going to ask for customer ID 1 and customer ID 2. So as we can see, we've just put a comma separated list of customer IDs there. So what we're saying to SQL is we want to select all columns from the orders table where the customer ID is in our list of 1 and 2. Notice how that's in brackets as well. So if we execute that query now, we also have a customer ID 3 which hasn't been returned, which is correct because it's not in the list that we have provided. Using this list as well will work with all data types. So I'm going to jump over to select all from customers. If I just run that query now, we'll bring up a grid of our customers. We've only got 3 in here at the moment. And we want to return where C first name in. We'll open our brackets. Now we know this column is a character string, so we need to enter an apostrophe, close that apostrophe. So we're going to say, is it in our list of Michael or Paul? So we're saying to SQL here, we want everything from the customers table where the first name is in our list of names Michael and Paul. And if we execute that query, we're not expecting to see Sandra Lewis. So let's go ahead and click execute up here. And as we can see, we've got the correct amount of results returned. But what if we wanted it the other way round? What if we wanted to give a list, but we want to find everybody that's not in that list? Well, that's pretty simple once you've learned how to use in, because all we do is just change that to, I will write another query here actually as an example so you can see the difference. So select all from DBO customers where C first name, and this time we're not looking. We want SQL to return the results that are not in our list. So we're going to say where the first name's not in. Michael and Paul. And if we execute that now, in fact we'll execute both at the same time. As you can see, I've highlighted both queries. I'll click on execute, so we'll get 2 grids of results. And in the first one, we've got our customers where the first name is in our list of Michael and Paul. And in the second one, we've got our list of customers where the first name is not in our list of Michael and Paul. So this is useful in SQL where we've got a list of information where we want to find details for. If we say we've got this database is based on a bookshop. Now if I look at this table, we've got all our books in here. We might be passed a list of books. So we're working at the bookshop, customer comes up to us and says, I'm interested in these books, can you let me know how many of each you've got in stock? So let's write that out. So we'll base it on the title and we'll say in. Now just for speed, I'm going to highlight the title and just copy that and paste it into the query. Just to mention here, this title of the book, We're Going on a Bear Hunt, has already got an apostrophe in the name. So within the character string, it's already got an apostrophe. In that scenario, that's saying to SQL, terminate that character string. So we would just be looking for we. So if I'll leave that there for now, and I'll just copy another book as well. And there is no limit to this list, so I'll put another book in as well, just to show you. Now, when we're working with character strings, we'll expect them to show up in red. So if I run this query now, we'll get an error to say incorrect syntax near RE. So it recognises this we here, but we've got an apostrophe there that is saying terminate that character string. This is the end of it. We're just looking for the letters WE. What we can do is to indicate to SQL that we've got an apostrophe within our character string, and how we do that is double apostrophe. And as we can see, all of those names have now changed to the red text we were expecting. You can see in this book title here, We're Going on a Bear Hunt, we've inserted a double apostrophe to indicate to SQL that there is an apostrophe already within this character string. So if I execute this query now, we've got 3 books in our list, and there we go, we've got 3 results returned. We could also change that round. I'm just going to click up here and write the word not, highlight that query and execute it. And there we go, we've got a list of books returned that are not in the list that we've entered. Another way of looking at this is our customer Michael, he comes into the shop and he wants to know which books he's bought. So we're going to go to the orders table, but first we need to find out what Michael's ID is. So we're going to say select all from customers. In fact, we don't need to select all here. All we're looking for is our customer ID. That's all we need to use. So where C first name equals Michael. Execute that query, and we've got his customer ID of 1. We could now take that 1. We're going to take Michael's customer ID of 1 and we're going to run that against the orders table. Again, all we need to return here is the order ID. So we're going to look at the order ID from orders, where O customer ID equals 1. Let's run that query now. So we can see we've got the orders IDs of 1, 2 and 3, but we want to get to the order details table. So we're going to select everything from the order details table, where OD OID, that allows the tables to link together. So the order details stores the order ID in 1, 2, 3, close bracket. So we've provided a list of 1, 2, 3. We know tracing back through SQL those order IDs belong to Michael. And if we execute that query now, we can see we've got a table here with the order details. So over on the left hand column, we've got an OD ID, which is just order details ID. We've got his order ID, and then we've got his product ID, which links to the book ID. So we could write a query, select all from DBO books, where PID in 1, 2, 3, 9 we've got there, 6, 1. It doesn't matter if we enter the number twice, it's going to return only the one result. As you can see, we've got 1 and 9 written twice. So if we run that query, we can see we haven't returned the number 1 twice, it's just looking for anything in that list, and we haven't returned the number 9 twice. Now if he says, what books have you got in stock then that I haven't bought, we could change this query to PID not in, run that, and we could say the 2 books we've got available are Lord of the Flies and American Gods, and you haven't purchased those yet. I hope you guys have got a good understanding now of how in and not in works. The process we've gone through there was quite long-winded though. We want to make that as easy as possible. So now we're going to move on to basic subqueries. What is a subquery? I would define a subquery, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree, as a query within a query. Let's take our last example, and I'll open up a new query window here. So we started with select all from customers where C first name equals Michael, and we'll run that query now. We've got all Michael's details returned. We only want the customer ID because we're going to move on to the orders table, so we can return that 1. But what we can do is change this to a subquery. So we're going to say select all from orders where order customer ID is in, and what do we need to do here? Put this within brackets, and I'll just indent this just for readability purposes. So we're saying we want to select the customer ID from customers where the first name equals Michael, and what we actually want to return is everything from the orders table where the customer ID exists in our subquery. So this is our subquery here within the brackets. The good thing about subqueries is we can just highlight this section here and execute that and run that separately. If we was to include the brackets, it still works. So if we execute this query as a whole, we're only expecting results from the orders table where our customer ID column matches to what is returned by our subquery. If we change this to select all columns from customers and run it, we will get an error to say that only one expression can be specified in the subquery. An alternative is to use exists, but we're not going to be looking at that today. We're just going to be focusing on basic subqueries. So we'll change this back to customer ID. We're going to accelerate here quite fast, and the query is going to get quite messy just to demonstrate how subqueries can work. So I'll run that again. We've got our orders. We now want to move on to our order details. So we can write, it's worth picking up as well with the subqueries, we could also write not in. So we can execute this query and we'll get all the orders for customers that don't equal Michael. We'll just change that back to in for the purpose of this. So now we want to move on to select all from our order details table where OD order ID is going to be in. Now again, we just want to select our OID from here. So we're starting off selecting our customer ID from customers where first name is Michael. Then we're going to return our OID from the orders where the customer ID is in that subquery customer ID for Michael. And we need to close the brackets down here. Again, I'm just going to indent this query here just for readability purposes. And I'll just delete this gap. and we can execute that, and we've now got everything from the order details table, where our order ID is in select order ID from orders, where our customer ID is in select customer ID from customers, where first name equals Michael. And then we moved on to the books, so we can put this within another subquery. So we're going to select all from books, where PID in will open brackets to indicate that it's a subquery, and close our brackets down here. And all we want to return from the order details table is our OD PID. That stands for product ID, which is really our book ID in this case. And I will just indent those again just for readability. And if we execute that query, we can see we've got all the books that Michael has purchased. So we've done 3 subqueries there. As we can see, readability wise, not the best, but this is just a brief introduction into subqueries. We will be moving on into videos in the future on how we can handle this better. I hope you've learnt a lot today, guys. We've looked at not in and in, and we've also looked at basic subqueries as well. Any comments, please don't be afraid to post them down below. If you like the video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I will be uploading videos regularly, and if you'd like to email me any queries, my email is askbeardeddev@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.